How great would it be to get up close and personal with the beauty industry heroes we love and admire, and to ask them, how did you learn to do what you do? I'm Chris Baran, a hairstylist and educator for 40 plus years, and I'm inviting all our heroes to chat and share the secrets of their success. This week's guest has been traveling the world, and he has been helping our industry grow not only financially, developmentally, and personally, but he has been in almost every industry mag that's out there. He has been in articles in consumer magazines like Elle Magazine, Glamour, The New Yorker, Washington Mag, and many others. He's considered an industry expert and a business guru. He has been inducted into NAHA's coveted Hall of Leaders, and I might add only 25 other people in our industry have gotten there. And I'm pleased to introduce this week's Headcase guest, Mr. Geno Stampora. Mr. Geno Stampora. It is a pleasure to have you on here. I mean, I would, just so everybody knows beforehand, we were just chatting away while we were setting up the technical. And I said that, we are sort of friends by omission. We talk to each other at every show that we go by. We have great conversations. We go in the lineup. I always call them the guest artist petting zoo, where you have to have pictures with everybody. Like when we were doing I remember the last time we were together. Remember that at Beauty Changes Lives? Yes. Then you have to stand up, take picture with every person. I always call that the guest artist petting zoo. But just for everybody that's joining us, it is later in the evening. We are having, I'm going to acknowledge this, Geno, here's to you. Cheers. Thank you so much for giving up of your time. I know your schedule. I know what you do. I know how you inspire people, and I'm just so happy to have you on board.
It's my pleasure, and I'll tell you what, I feel the same way about you, Chris, and I've admired your work for 100 years out there on the road. And like you were saying earlier, we've never really had a chance to get together and just say, "Wow, man, you're doing this, and you're doing this, and we're into this," and time flies. You talk about schedule, and I'm really winding down, and I'm enjoying it. I'm really loving it. I'm having a good time.
Yeah, I was talking. We did one with Michael Cole, and I know that we all run around the same circles. And I was talking to Michael. He says, "Why the hell is it that when everybody else in the world is winding down, we're winding up?" Yeah. And I think we just get busier and busier. But listen, Geno, I've looked up to you. I've learned from you. I've sat in your audiences. And I know I feel the same way as everybody else that does out there, that you helped change people's lives, and I'm just grateful to have you on here. So,
well, thank you, Chris, and it feels the same on my end. It's great to be here, great to support you, and it's certainly always nice to have an opportunity to talk to our incredible beauty community and just let them know that we're here for them and we care, and that there's the great thing I've always felt about the beauty industry is there's a great opportunity out there for everyone.
Bingo. And because, you brought up a great point. Because I think that, sometimes I talk to people, and I think you can come from two worlds. One, I live in a place of abundance, or one, I live in a place of scarcity. And I think there's that. It's a one or other, but like you said, there's plenty of room for everything that we have. And I think if everybody would just realize that, whether it's the guy down the block, your guy next door, an artist that you're on stage with, or, competing with, and if you're listening in, yes, I am doing air quotes. But, I think there's a place for that. Place for everybody.
Not only do I agree, but I'll tell you what, look at you and I've seen some of the most incredible work that you've done. You're a phenomenal artist, and you're a very talented hairdresser, and you've done great stuff throughout I've never seen anything on stage that you've done that wasn't miraculous, that wasn't really true. Although I know you're going to say there were times, but you're looking at a guy that I became a speaker because every time I tried to do hair on stage, I screwed it up so bad that the model would cry, the front row would freak out, and I thought, okay, I'm going to stop doing hair, and I'm going to find a way just to talk people into understanding that they have great potential and great opportunity, kind of like you and I talked about.
Yeah, but so I don't want to pass by the fact that you I mean, I don't think there's an area of our business that you have not been in. So tell us a little bit about what are all the areas of the field that you've actually contributed to, had a part of.
You're probably right, and I think it's because I've always had this thing about maybe something's missing. So when I went to beauty school, right after beauty school, I went right on the floor and started as a hairdresser. And then within a couple of years, I was manager, part owner, and then owner of the salon. But even when I owned the salon, I kind of felt like it just wasn't everything. And my sales consultant would come in, and it seemed like they had the greatest job in the world. So I became a sales consultant. And then I became a distributor. And then I opened a beauty school. And then I had 2 beauty schools. And then I had 3 salons. And then I thought, I had the greatest staff you could ever ask for. I've always had a thing about people. And I've always felt that if you give people the space to be themselves, and you find a way to create an environment where they can be the best that they can be, you're going to have success. You're going to be successful. And it was hard work, but it sure did work. I mean, it's been wonderful. So I'd venture to tell you that I have probably done everything from shampoo boy to coach.
Yeah. And I find it really interesting when, because it's this evolution that happens to people, and I think that when you're going through all of that you're going from the salon, schools, the distribution, etc. And I want to pause just for a second on schools, because we may have a lot of students that are listening, watching,
wonderful,
in the program here, and so just for reference. What year was it, give or take 5 years, 10 years, whatever, that you had the schools?
84, 85, and 86.
Yeah. And I know that you, first of all, I've watched with you, been with you at when you did, because you're always so generous of your time, and you always talk at Beauty Changes Lives, and you do the thing for the students. And so I want to talk to you just about, what do you notice, or if any, is there any difference that you notice in the student from the 80s and now?
Yeah, I think there's a big difference. I think that, I still am the facilitator for the Professional Beauty Association's Beacon program, and I've done that. This is my 25th year. And we're getting ready to do it again next month. And boy, I just can't wait to get there. And I can't wait to see these students full of life and full of excitement. I think that it's kind of hard to get into, Chris, but I think that COVID and being locked at home for a couple of years and the changes in the structure of the way young people are being raised, so to speak, I don't like to talk about generations, the Generation X and I think people are people, and we all want respect. We all want success. We all want the things that we want. But I do believe that today there's a larger percentage of people that if it's too hard, they're not going to do it. They're just not going to put themselves out on the limb like you and I did for years, in creating. I mean, we started shows. We were the ones that created that. And I remember calling salons and saying, I'd like to come in and work with you. And they'd be like, well, how many models do you need? And I said, oh, no, I don't need models. I need a flip chart. And I'm just going to come in and talk. And I've had this conversation with Michael Cole a million times where they would say to me, we don't think that would work, And little by little, you build it up to where they realize it did work. But I do still believe that there are young people coming into our industry that are better brained and better prepared and more balanced than ever before. Like, I do believe the industry is in great hands. Yeah,
I tend to agree with you, and especially when you're talking about I just call them Generation Now because I don't really know what they're called.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I just think that I hear so many people talk about the generation that's coming up now, and they just say, like, I wish they would just be like I was. Well, and I think that, sometimes you just have to stop, and you got to say, stop just for a second, and now flip it. And is it that they need to be like us, or we need to think more like them? And we need to create environments that are more like them. And we need to say, okay, well, if somebody only wants to work 3 or 4 days a week, how can we shift what we do to maximize? I'll give you an example, and we did a program with Daniel Mason Jones just a short bit back, and he said, look, I have people that work for me, and Lee, if you can come on in, because if you can remember, Lee is our producer. But I think he said that this girl that worked for him was, you can call me a liar, Lee, but I think it was 18 hours that she worked in a week. And she pulls in 6 figures. Am I right on that, Lee? Was 27? Well, it was close to 18.
Yeah, not bad at all. Not bad at all.
It was like, that was a math number.
That's all right.
But
we're hairdressers.
Works 27 hours, she works a week, and makes 6 figures.
Unbelievable.
So I think that we're the ones that were shifting. I'd like to hear, like, what do you tell people right now, when, especially the students and the owners, when that comes up?
I get more calls from owners that want to know how to talk to their young staff, how to hire them, how to get them to fit in. And I always try to say to them, don't expect them to be like you, because they're not. They weren't raised like you were. They weren't grown like you were. They didn't have the things that you had. I mean, today, you've got social media, which I don't know if you saw. I did actually, it's not on yet, but I did a podcast not too long ago where I talked about digital dementia and digital distraction. And you have to be careful that some people are digitally distracted. They live in their phone and their social media, so they don't understand. They have to be taught how to build and how to communicate effectively and how to grow people. But I think, to say to the young people out there, there's only one thing you need to discover. And 27 hours is great. 20 hours is great. When you can figure out the hours that you need to work to make the money that you want to make. However, you must become aware of your complete potential. Right. That's the key. And the key is, if you become aware of your complete potential, then you understand that you're truly working smart and not hard. You're squeezing every hour dry. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that there's a big difference there. And like you said, Chris, it's come. It's come of time, 2023. We have to find a way to fit these people in, to accept what it is they want to give, and create an environment for them to give their all, whether it's part-time, full-time, 20 hours, 30 hours. I mean, I don't know anybody that wants to work as hard as I did, but back in my day, that was what you had to do to be what you wanted to be. Today, they're finding new ways to be what they want to be without having to put in all those hours. And I kind of like it, because I think they're almost born with this understanding that life is short. How do we really find a way to squeeze the day dry, make the day matter, make life matter? What's really most important in life?
Right.
And I mean, for you and I'm a hairdresser through and through. If you slit this wrist, there's no blood in there. It's shampoo that comes out of my veins. I mean, that's kind of been my whole life. So I've had a love affair with the beauty industry since 1974. And it's not the most important thing in my life, but it's one of the most important things. I mean, I am so proud and so happy to be here and to work with this great industry and these great people and all the things that we've done and created and still continue to do.
Yeah. And I'm just, this is going to sound like a weird segue, but I listen to the way you talk, and I think that if people would just understand that the way that you talk to people helps to inspire, helps to motivate, helps to get them, like there's the little shot in the arm that I needed, and so I mean I've heard people talk about you as a motivational speaker. I'd like you to. Is that what you are? Is that how you feel? Is that what you'd say? Is that the way you'd introduce yourself?
No, I've never said that. I've never had it in print. It's not in any of my bios. I don't know that I really believe in motivation. I think that we all have to motivate ourselves. That's for sure. But I also believe if you take an idiot and you motivate them, you've created a motivated idiot. So I've always introduced myself as an inspirational speaker, that I will entertain you and I will inspire you. And really, my goal, Chris, very much I know is similar to yours without us even talking about it. I've always felt that there's greatness in everyone. I get on that stage and I look at my audience and I'm like, okay, there's greatness in every one of you. And I know I'm not going to reach every one of you, but boy, I'm going to reach a few of you. And we're going to bring that greatness out and show you that you have a future and you have potential. And people don't realize, but there's genius in all of us. It's just a matter of refining, fine-tuning, having coaches, having mentors, studying and learning and always trying to think of something new. It's out there.
Yeah, and failing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I love what you're saying, and it's particularly the fact that I always say I'm not smart enough to think of this stuff on my own, but I am a great observer. I am a great listener, and I can pass on information. And I can't remember who said it. It probably was somebody very and much smarter than me, but they said that if you're a motivational speaker, motivation is is a shorter living thing, so I can motivate you, but it's going to die. It's going to die away as soon as the motivation is gone. But if you can inspire somebody to believe in themselves and to work with themselves to make themselves better, that's what keeps them moving forward all the way. And so the reason why I brought that up is because when somebody told me that you were a motivational speaker, I wanted to hear what you thought, but I went, you inspire people, so there's a big difference between motivational speaker and an inspirational speaker.
Absolutely. I agree totally. And you can, I think you could cut that with a knife, the difference. Yeah. But one of the things I try to tell people always over the years, especially people closest to me, my employees, my family, my close friends, that inspiration doesn't last a long time either. That once you're inspired, your goal, your job is to keep that inspiration alive. I just spoke for the John Amico group in Cabo San Lucas a couple weeks ago, and I said,
"Poor you."
Oh, it was so how wonderful that a poor idiot hairdresser like myself could actually get paid to go to Cabo. But I said to everyone there, look. There's a law. It's called the Law of Diminishing Effect. And that law is going to take place the minute you leave. And now it's your job to seek inspiration, to always be searching for inspiration, to lead an inspired life. You have to find inspiration in the trees and in nature, in a sunset, in people, in the things around you. And actually, if you don't mind me blabbing along, I'll tell you a great story that I shared with all of them. And I led it back to them in the end. And that was my wife and I were out at the Outer Banks a couple months ago in North Carolina. Are you familiar?
Yeah.
You're pretty much in the middle of nowhere and real kind of country, but there's beautiful beaches. And so I called a pizza place and I said, I'm looking for some pizza. I see that the pizza place's name is Vinny's Pizzeria. Is this Vinny? He goes, yes, it is. I said, Vinny, are you Italian? He goes, Yes, I'm Italian. Everything I wear is Italian. And everything I use to make the pizzas is Italian. Why do you ask? And I said, well, I'm from Virginia, but originally from New Jersey. Now, in Virginia, a lot of Greeks make pizza. And it's good pizza. It's just not Italian pizza. Oh, no, sir. You're fine with us. You're going to have Italian pizza. Well, he told me to arrive at 2:10 to pick up my 2 pizzas. I came a few minutes early. As soon as I walked in the door, he said, you must be Geno. I said, I am. He said, you're early by a few minutes. And I said, yes, I didn't know how long it would take me to get here. I've never been here. He says, well, now that you're here, let me grab the sleeve. That's the big wooden thing that they pulled the pizza out with. I want to show you your pizza. He showed me the pizza. He said, is that enough of oregano? I said, no, I'd like a little more oregano on that. He goes, let me show you the other pizza, the white pizza. And I said, it's not for me. You don't have to show me. He goes, no, I want to show you. Take advantage. And then we'll let them crisp up. So he shows me. I said, everything's perfect. Puts them back in the oven. They crisp up. He puts them in the boxes. He brings them to me and he says, the boxes aren't closed on purpose. You're only 10 minutes away. The pizza won't get cold. If you close the box all the way, the pizza will get soggy. Leave the crack open and let some air get into the pizza. It'll stay crispy and perfect, just like I want you to enjoy it. The last thing he said was, you see, my passion is that you bite into the best piece of pizza possible. And I said to him, 70 years. And I've never had this knowledge from a pizza man before in my life, ever. I was overwhelmed. I got in the car, I drove home, drove back to the house, the beach house. The pizza was incredible. And I called one of my friends and I said, you know, if people would just figure out, what's your pizza? What's your pizza? Where is your passion? You know, what is it that you're trying to do, trying to create, try, because there's, like I said earlier, like you shared, there's room for everyone. But you know what? You could create your own perfect niche in this industry, like your friend that works 27 hours and pulls in 6 figures, right?
Bingo.
Yeah.
You know, I I think that there's magic in that, because when bring that full circle, as we always do, back to what we do in the business, and we always assume that everybody knows what to do and why we do what we do. So if we would just give them that pizza relief, here's what you do when you're blow drying your hair, and when you're doing this at home, here's what you do. And you could bring that magic that nobody, and I'm sure that most pizzerias assumed you know that same information. I'll give you just to sort of expand on that. And, you know, I don't know about you, and you can probably tell from my body type that I do like hamburgers the same way. And we've had hamburgers all of our life, and we went to Five Guys, and the Five Guys, we went there, we got our order. We'd like to eat it at home or in the car on the way, whatever. And the gentleman told us, okay, I put your French fries in the bag with your burger. He said, don't close the bag for the same reason. And he said, don't close the bag because your French fries will get soggy.
I love it.
And I went, for all of the places I went to in my whole life, nobody's ever told me that. So what could we do as hairdressers that we know, that we assume that they know, and when we tell them, that creates loyalty for life?
Well, you know, I think first of all, never assume. Always be the teacher. Never assume. Even if you've said it to them 1,000 times before, say it again. As a professional, to create true professionalism, every time they come, you should remind them, use our professional products. Please reschedule for your next appointment before you leave. Don't forget to tell your friends and family about me. If there's any issue with your hair, skin, nails, please let me know, because it's important to me that this is the best ever. You know, my job is to exceed your expectations. And I was looking, actually, like you were grabbing some notes. I grabbed a couple notes and I thought about, you know, it's probably a great time to share with everyone out there, in your audience, that This is the greatest time ever for the beauty industry. Through COVID, we've reached a whole new plateau. They see value in us like they never have before, right down to the importance of visiting a salon, forgetting about your life, just getting lost in beauty and creativity for an hour or two and letting everything else fall behind. And I think that people see us in a much different light now. We should truly take advantage of that and make sure that they understand that that's not going to go away. And now that they see this new higher value in us, it's important that we provide incredible value to them every time, all the time. You know, I had a friend that used to say to me, well, I think you know my friend Yosh Toya. Yosh Toya,
Oh, yes.
Yosh said to me one day, Geno, you know how I got how good I am? Because, I mean, he's so good. And he made that book of all of his haircuts. And I was actually on stage explaining to people at the Chicago ABS show because they couldn't understand Yosh. I'm talking about the book. And I actually said, I did all those haircuts, not Yosh. And I'm flipping through the pages. And he's kind of flipping out. We're having a hilarious time. But he said to me, I ask you to work with me because you have a heart, Geno. You always talk good, all things good. And I came home and wrote that down, and it still sits on my bulletin board, right in the center on a pink stick-it note, all things good. Be known for all things good. And a great hairdresser knows not to get into a personal story. You get into everything related to beauty, a beauty story, and you share that with them instead of any personal stuff. And I'll just never forget that because he floored me. He blew my mind, and he almost made me feel, when I got back to my hotel room, I had to look at myself in the mirror and say, wow, you know, you're known for something good, you know?
Yeah. You know, I love what you said, and as particularly when you were talking about value and how COVID made people look at things differently. I remember doing a video during COVID. We were doing a video program, a hybrid program where not hybrid, but purely digital. And I'm not sure if you know Wendy Belanger. She's out of Calgary, has successful salons out of there.
I know Wendy.
And
sure.
she had the most brilliant, it was a simple thing that I'm going to give you just a Reader's Digest version. But and it's going to be easier for the audio people. But I'm holding up two pieces of paper right now. If you're watching the watch version, you can see they're both same color, but I don't have a different color. But in the packet that she would hand out all of the essential oils and the things, and there's separate combs and brushes and capes and everything. But what I thought was the most brilliant thing that she did is she had two pieces of paper inside. And I'm just going right now, you can see that they're obviously both green, but let's say just one's green and one's red. And she said, if you don't want to have a conversation because you want just pure quiet time, take the red piece of paper and put that on the desk.
I love it.
And we will just make sure that you have no distractions. You can just calmly have your way through it other than the minimal conversation we have. But if you want to talk, you put down the green piece of paper,
right,
and we will have a conversation. And I went, that's value. That alone is worth another $10 raise on what you do just because you're looking after people.
No doubt. And you're thinking customer first.
Yes.
You know, so you're introducing that right from the start in their intro packet. And all of a sudden they realize, wow, these people really do care about me. They care about whether I want to have a and you know, when I teach dialogue, one of the things I always ask them to say is, listen, if you want to talk, tell me, and if you don't want to talk, tell me, and especially me, because, well, you can tell on the podcast, I hardly give you a chance to say too much of anything in your own podcast, and I would say to my customers, listen, I'm Italian from New Jersey, I'm a talker, and I talk away. If you want me to be quiet, just say be quiet, not an issue. But I think and Wendy is such a perfect example of thinking customer first. You know, what does beauty look like through the customer's eyes? Some customers might not be able to say, I don't want to talk. But gosh, how easy is it to just slip the red sheet on your station and you know then that they're done. And you can still share with them the important parts of your presentation with them. You know, it's most important. There's a few things I do need to share with you, even if you wait till the close and you share with them the important stuff, the professional products, rescheduling, tell your friends. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Yeah. So I did a little bit, because I know that you've got a great pulse on the industry. So I pulled up just a couple of facts, and I'm just looking on my notes here. This is what always happened to me. For those of you watching, you'll see that I have like a myriad or a plethora. I've always wanted to use the word plethora in a conversation. But I pulled this stuff up, and I know you're the perfect guy that I wanted to talk to about it. But this is, I just took a look at the state. This is from the U.S. Bureau of Statistics. And I wanted to look at what was the stats on hairdressing. And so I brought this up, and this was, again, this is 2021 median prices, pays, etc.
Right.
And the median pay in 2021 was $29,680 per year, or $14.27 per hour. They went on to say in there, it says, on-the-job training, none. These were stab wounds to my freaking heart.
I agree.
And then it said, here's the part that I went to. It said, number of jobs, 2021, there was 608,900 job positions for hairdressers. And this is, to be clear, barbers, hairstylists, and cosmetologists.
Right.
In the United States. And what's your thoughts on that?
It's so hard, Chris. First of all, I don't think you can look at statistic numbers from the U.S. Bureau, because so many people keep their cash still.
Bingo.
You know, I can tell you one thing, that I think I made more than $29,000 in 1975, the first year I was behind the chair. And it's gone straight up since then. I mean, you know, I'm looking at retiring and thinking to myself, I never would have imagined that I'd have the money that I need to retire.
Yeah.
Through the success of my career in beauty. So, first of all, I think that's kind of malarkey. That you know, I've got a young girl that I met 7 years ago at Beacon. My friend Fallon Mirault. Fallon is now 7 years later ahead of everyone in her salon. She's the highest ticket price. She's the number one with retail. She's number one with customer retention. And it's all because of coaching. It's dialogue. It's the right words, the right understanding. And she was just the one to take it to the limit. And I don't know what she makes, but I know she's making six figures. I know it.
Yeah.
And I think everybody should, and I think everybody could. The other thing is, I never look at jobs in our industry, because I feel like if ever I've had someone say that's moving, I have a friend that is moving to Tennessee, and I called some friends in Tennessee that own a couple of salons, and I said, this girl is dynamic, wonderful, you'll love her. And they said to me on the phone, she's hired. Send her down. And I think in our industry, like with you, if you have someone who's special, you'll open up a chair for him. You'll create a place for him. So there's a job there for everyone. Statistics, even within our industry, modern salon, American salon, salon today, you got to wonder sometimes about where the statistics are coming from. And then you have to realize that, you know what, go back to work and create your own statistics, create your own list and make that happen. So I don't put too much into them, you know. I try to look more at the people I know. Now, I believe there are a lot of hairdressers out there that are satisfied with $29,000 a year, and that's probably what they're doing. It's probably better than they thought. But I think, I mean, you and I both know, I have 25 beauty professional friends that are multimillionaires, that have their own planes, you know. So, you know, I don't know if the 80-20 rule even works with us, but I think it's important to understand that incredible success is right at your fingertips. And if you're willing to do all that it takes, you'll get there. You know, when I was in 2009, when I was inducted into the North American Hairstyling Awards Hall of Leaders, and I'm up on
Stop
that.
there. Pause there for a second, because I just want to say congratulations. Because there's only 25 other people that have received that.
Yeah, pretty cool.
And that is pretty damn cool.
I'll tell you, I still look at it. I saw your award back behind you there on the one of your shelves, and I still look at my award and think to myself, who would have ever thought that poor boy lunatic from Point Pleasant, New Jersey, could be inducted? But when I got on the stage, I said to them, when they asked me why, I said there's two very clear reasons. Number one, I've had a love affair with beauty since beauty school. I love us. I love everything about us. I love who we are. I love what we do. I love to be in the company of hairdressers and salon owners because I really do believe there's no one quite like us. And number two, back about 30 years ago, I decided that I was going to give 100% every time I had a chance to do a haircut, do a speech, do a presentation, teach a seminar, coach a salon owner. And then I plussed it. About 20 years ago, I thought, I will now give 100% of the time. And I'll let nothing get in the way of me doing that, including tonight. I mean, I couldn't wait for tonight. I've been going over my notes all day. I talked with Marjorie yesterday. I said, I've got some ideas and some things to talk about. And I had no doubt that I knew you and I, not a problem. I mean, we're basically cut from the same cloth, so it wouldn't be an issue. But I think that makes all the difference in the world, Chris. You know, and I know that that's what you've done, and believe me, people think sometimes when you're backstage doing that hair that it comes out and looks so beautiful on stage. What they don't realize is you don't have a chair that pumps up, you don't have running water, you don't have the tools that you're used to having. Yet we create because we care.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, I think that's probably one of the best words that could have been used on there was just the word care. Is if you would just care people like you would care for yourself and so on. And I, you know, it's the interesting thing that, and I've talked to some of my European friends, and I don't know if it's changed since, because I've been I think about 4 years since I spent a lot of time over in Europe. But that's the one thing that they said, that when you come to America, you've got to come to America to learn about customer service. Is that they're generally, that's the customer service here is that, particularly in our industry, is good. And I think that from most people, that they do care about their clients. I think what they do need is specificity in their terminology. And like you said, scripts, dialogues,
right,
that don't become scripts. And I think there's a difference. Scripts that don't become scripts.
Right.
You've got to have dialogue and the way that you talk to people.
Right. You can take the script, and study it and make the script yours. You know, find a way to make it yours. just a couple of quick stories, not to interrupt you, but regarding scripts. First of all, do you know that in the making of Jaws, the original Jaws movie, Steven Spielberg had the mechanical shark? And the shark was to jump on the boat and open and close his mouth a couple times. Well, the shark malfunctioned. Everybody freaked out and didn't know what to do. And Steven Spielberg said, what we need is remarkable, incredible music. And they came up with dun, 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 dun. And anybody in the world can play that song, anybody. And there's another great, well, there's so many, we could do a million of them, but especially with movies and actors, which are really very similar to us, they learn how to establish that true understanding, not only of creativity, but really of if there's a better way, we'll find it, Yeah. So please continue.
Yeah. No. I love where you're going. And please, anytime you've got stories, listen, I love stories. I think that's what makes us grow. And to that point, I was thinking about our industry this morning when it was CBS that I was watching, and they had Willem Dafoe on. And in his new movie that they're talking about, which is called Inside, he plays this art thief that gets locked in a penthouse in Manhattan and can't get out. And they were talking about his dialogue and his script that he had. And he said that when you're acting, and this is where I thought the parallel came in between acting and what we do behind the chair, is you can have a script in a very short amount of time that you have to give out. But then you like he said, he's the only person in the whole show. He's the only one. There's nobody else in the show.
I love it.
And it's a thriller. And so he has to go deep to create dialogue that wasn't in the script.
Of course.
But still stay within the parameters of what he's supposed to talk about.
Yeah.
And I went, that's such an amazing parallel between what we do at the chair when we talk about the script. So you're doing a consultation and you're saying, well, A, B, C, D, E, F, etc., that you would do normally. But sometimes you have a different person and you've got to go deeper and really analyze deeper, and you've got to think and listen and so on. And I think that there's such an amazing parallel between what he talked about, what an actor has to go through when they're improvising or having to give more than what the director has to say. And what you, as like he said, there's other gigs you have to do. You're a character. You're just doing your thing. You have to do exactly what they tell you to do. But then there's a thing that you bring life and breathe into the beauty of this art by just what you say.
Yeah, you become that character. You become, and always I am the master of scripts. I give scripts to people all the time, and I always tell them, I give letters, a price increase letter, a fire a client letter. I'll always say to them, don't use the letter, read it, rewrite it, and make it yours. Add your words, add your flavor, put your flavor in it, put your spices into it and make it be yours. It's the same thing when people hear scripted dialogue, they're like, oh boy, I don't want to sound like a robot. Well, you won't if you understand that a script is there to show you what has to be done. And then you creatively decide the process and how it would be and should be done. But I'll tell you, since we're on this one thing, and it would be a great thing to share with everyone that's on in your audience.
Please do.
I believe the greatest issue in the industry today, that the thinking that's costing beauty professionals more money than anything, is a lack of professional dialogue. How to ask, how to persuade, how to get people to understand the importance of buying products, the importance of buying their tools from us, the importance of supporting everything about the salon, not just your haircut, the importance of using professional color and then using professional products to protect that color afterwards. I mean, my main goal was I want you to look your best every day until you come back here. And if I tell you to come back in 41 days, it's because I know in 41 days you're not going to look your best. I know hair. I know beauty. You know what I mean? And I think if the average listener would really take the time to perfect their dialogue, perfect their opening, perfect their shampoo story, perfect their service story, perfect their finishing story, perfect their closing story, they'd see a significant increase, not only in income, even in tips. Because people want to reward you if you exceed their expectations, right?
Yeah, I agree. You know, I've had a teacher of mine that said, people don't pay for you for their knowledge, they pay for your opinion.
Right.
So it's just like, I can come to you for my hair, but I'm paying you more money than I would anybody else for your opinion of what's going to look good on me.
I love it. Yeah.
You know, and so rather than, you know, I mean, I'm not even going to go into that rabbit hole where people say, like, what do you want today? Because you know, it's just, you know, overdone. We've talked about it and nobody's doing anything about it. But is if people would just take it into their brain that you're an expert, and if they want an opinion, then just give them the opinion. And I always believe this. Here's one thing that I loved. That I can't remember the gentleman that gave me this. I wish I could. And like I said, I'm not smart enough to think of it on my own. He said, never tell somebody that this is what you need. Because if they don't like it, then you're out of a job.
I love it.
But he said to me, I've got a couple of ideas, and I'd like to throw these ideas at you, and you tell me the one that sinks, the one that really hits home for you, the one that you feel really good about.
I love it.
And then he would say, well, first of all, hear me out. I want to do XYZ, or I'm going to do ABC. And he said, tell me what you think of those two. And that started the dialogue, but put him up. And, you know, if you think about it, you know, I do a bit on stage where when I'm talking to people about how you're an expert, I'll just say, look, here's $25,000. If I don't physically give them $25,000, but I said, here's the scenario. If I give you $25,000 or $10,000, and I said, go to a designer and tell them, you know, that you can only have one outfit, what would you say to that designer? And inevitably, people say, well, what would you suggest? Well, I said, well, if that's what you are and you're the designer, why are you saying, what do you want?
Right.
And in that moment, that people will, if they realize they're the expert, but give people parameters, they will eventually get down to exactly what it is the client they want, and it's just called another way of doing a consultation.
That's great communication. That's great communication in action. You know, that's what it takes. That's what it takes to stand on your feet and find a way to connect with them. And then it's always nice to ask a client questions where they're going to come back at you with a response, with an answer, with something that makes a difference. Yeah, I love it. I love it. You know, I think sometimes we look at what might be easy now that was so hard at the start. You know, I had the hardest time believing in myself. I had the hardest time believing in the fact that I had something to offer. Not only an audience, but that I had something to offer a client, a guest. And I had clients that at one point were bringing me so many of their children at full price. And I'd be like, why are you bringing me your children? Somebody else here could do them for much less money. And I would always hear, it's not about the money. It's about the way you make my child feel. When my son leaves your chair, he feels like he could do anything. And that's when I began to realize that nobody can compete with the way you make a customer feel. If you can really make them feel just right, you're going to win no matter what. I mean, I think a great style and a great haircut and a classic look and a great bob and all that stuff, it's really important. But I'll tell you what, I did crappy hair for 40 years. And nobody knew it was crappy hair. They just loved it because they loved me, because I was there, you know, to give for them all that it took.
You know, that's such a powerful statement is that just to look after somebody, just to take care of them when they come in.
Yeah.
And it's the loyalty that drives, so, and I'm going to be very candid here, because when I went to Sassoon's and I learned how to cut hair in a certain way, and I got a big head, and I went, wow, look at me, look at how good I am.
Yeah.
And I ended up turning off some people, even though their hair was amazing.
Yeah.
I pissed some people off just because I didn't, as opposed to if I would have taken that knowledge, as I've done since then, I learned my lesson and said, look, I can take that knowledge, apply the knowledge that I have, turn that into a better dialogue, and rather than talking about me, talking about how it fits you, and it just makes such a big difference in the loyalty that it creates.
Yeah. You have to be careful sometimes reading your own press.
Especially when you write it yourself.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. And a lot of people do. And a lot of people are doing that today more than ever before. But I think it's really important to stay humble. Find a way to stay humble. And while we're on this, I think it's also important to don't think with your ego or think with your head. Try to always think with your heart. Your heart will never steer you wrong. And if you put your heart in front of that guest that's in your chair, no matter how tired or hungover you are, you find a way to delight your guest. And if you do that, that's job security. People ask me all the time, probably same as you, are you busy on the road? And I'm like, am I busy? I could work 365 days a year if I wanted to. Oh, well, what about the holidays? I said, no. If you understand, they don't celebrate July 4th in the UK. I can go over there and do a show. They don't celebrate July 4th in Canada. I can go up there and do so. And they would say, really? And I'd be like, all you have to do is exceed their expectations. And you've got eternal job security. You never have to worry about that. You never have to really look at where's the next paycheck coming from. Not if you're really paying attention and you're really finding a way to nail that home.
When you say exceeding their expectations, give me an example. What, like, to the other person, I would say, well, everybody has expectations, but I'm living up to mine, and so on. What does that mean? How would you suggest that happens to people?
I think that every client comes to us, especially the first time, because for one reason or another, they were unhappy where they went last. So we have to find a way to figure out or ask them what their expectations are, and then go beyond that. Give them a little more knowledge, give them a better shampoo, rinse them better, make sure their neck is dry, talk to them carefully, comb them out carefully, don't hurt anybody. Show true respect using your tools and taking the time with them behind the chair, and then making sure, which really, come on, anybody listening, and you and I both know, if a client doesn't like their hair, you know it. You know when they look at themselves in the mirror. So you have to find a way to make sure that they love it, that we constantly exceed expectations, that we're that prepared. I had a friend one time come into work on a Saturday morning, phenomenal hairdresser, 20 times or more better than me, so talented, incredible. He's hungover. It's Saturday morning, he's 10 minutes late. What's the problem? He said, I'm hungover. I said, I can smell that you're hungover. So you got to go get rid of that smell right now. And we've been entertaining your client. Your client is here. Well, before the client came out, Chris, I put a flip chart next to his station and wrote on, please experience Daniel today, 50% off. He's hungover. And he came out and saw that and said, oh my God, are you really going to leave that there? And I said, well, I'm not, Daniel, but I should, because you're not all there. And I was going to say to the clients, look, even hungover, he'd probably do a better haircut than me. But if that's the case, you should maybe know. We really have to find a way to be prepared for success. Do you deserve success? Do you deserve that full book? Like, what are you doing? I mean, I ask people for 40 years in my audiences, are you fully booked? And so many people are like, no. I'm like, well, then what are you willing to do to get full? What are you willing to change? What are you willing to grow, to work on, to read, to study, to practice in order to make that happen? You know, I think a lot of people, they want the success, and it almost, if we go all the way back to how we started this podcast tonight, it's a lot of the young people. It's the now thing. I want it now. I don't want to wait. I don't want to wait. I don't want to have to really pay my dues. Well, you know what? If you've earned the right, you can have it now. But if you haven't earned the right, that's not going to come to you. And you can go from A to Z if you want, but at some point in your life, you're going to have to do B, C, D, E, F, G, and all those other letters, you know, because you can't fake truth. You can't fake professionalism. You can't fake the feeling of knowing you gave your all, you earned the right, you gave your 100%. And I think today, more than ever, probably the best thing I'd like to share with everyone is to provide true value, is to understand that value to a guest is the difference between what they get and what they expect. It's just that little difference. And how do you give them, then again, more than they expected? So you know you own them. You own your future.
And it's almost like it translates into worth, and the worth translates into how much they're willing to pay. You know, to me, that's what I think. I always say I'm a capitalist through and through.
Oh, who's not?
I think that, yeah, well, exactly. I mean, I've had none, and I've had lots, and I like lots better.
I agree, and I'll tell you, Chris, I always say that people that say it doesn't matter are lying. It does matter, or they haven't come to grips with the fact that it does matter. I mean, one of the things I always told my children was, you have to understand something. Our lifestyle is created because of the beauty industry and because of my work ethic. And those two things give us everything we have. You know, try to get them to understand that that's what it takes, you know?
Yeah, listen, perfect. I have a bunch of rapid fire questions. This is a perfect segue into that.
Let's do it.
And I just want to throw out a series of questions for you here. Just 1 or 2 word answers, or the first thing that comes to your mind. If you say pass, that's okay too. Okay. What turns you on in the creative process?
The customer's face.
What stifles it?
My own I can't find the right words. My own not being able to connect the dots, not being able to get my ability out there.
Love it. Okay, good. An event or a show that you love, the first one that comes to your mind. One that you did, one that you were involved with.
The Davidson Crystal City show.
I love it. Okay, good. Things in your life that you dislike, in your life, not our industry, but in life, that you dislike the most?
Not being able to copy a lead on my guitar.
Oh,
that's probably the worst. Things I dislike the most. Solicitors calling that I don't want to talk to. People using me versus getting to know me and working with me.
Oh, wow. That's brilliant. What the things you love the most in life?
My wife, my children, my guitar, my office, my industry, you, the people that I've had the privilege to get to know and work with. And, you know, it's funny, I'm trying to say one word, but I can't do it. I find now that the closest people in my life are the people that have been through the same journey I've been through. All the people I've worked with.
Love it. Most difficult time in your life?
Oh, boy. Probably my teenage years. It was tough. I grew up really poor, very abused. I was horrible in high school. I didn't do well. I quit school. I have no formal education. Probably just the most difficult time was my teen years and early 20s and me getting to know me.
God bless. I'm glad that you found him.
Yeah, me too.
Things you hate most about our industry?
People that don't love it as much as I do. People that suck the industry dry. Numbers and large corporations coming in and taking out the creative process and making a salon owner or a beauty professional become a number. The fact that customers sometimes don't really listen to what's best for them.
I love it. Person you admire the most?
In the world?
Anybody, anything.
I can't give you one, but I'll give you 5.
Do, please.
Mahatma Gandhi, John Lennon, Fidel Sassoon. Who he was, what he did, what he gave to us, to our industry. Always such a outstanding representation of who we are. And let's see, there was one more. People I admire. Elvis Presley.
Oh, yeah. Person you wish you could meet?
Jesus. Love to meet him. Love to
It's
talk.
going to happen one day.
I'd like to know if it's for real. You know, I'd like to really.
Yeah.
I got some questions.
Yeah. Something people don't know about you?
I have difficulty sometimes believing in myself.
God bless. That's.
I have to remind myself who I am, Chris. Sometimes.
Yeah. Snapping a finger, and I'm just giving you a month off. Where would you go, and what would you do? Nothing to do with hair.
Siesta Key, Florida.
Oh.
Yeah. I love Siesta Key. I have so much fun there. And part of that would have to be the casino at Sarasota, the Hard Rock Casino.
Love it. Well, I'm wishing you all the success on that one. Things that terrify you. Or a thing.
Yeah. Snakes, spiders.
Spiders, that's for me.
Sometimes the dark. I have difficulty with the dark sometimes if it's pitch black. Usually in a hotel room, I'll leave my TV on. I've never, in all my life, never been good with the dark. I don't know that it terrifies me, but I could let it if I'm not careful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have sometimes in a hotel room and it's dark, I'll semi-wake up thinking that somebody's looking over top of me, and it freaks me out.
I understand.
Yeah. Favorite curse word?
Shit. Covers everything.
Yeah. Favorite comfort food?
Mashed potatoes.
With butter.
Oh, absolutely.
Something in the industry that you haven't done but wanted to?
Gosh, I think I've pretty much done everything I've ever wanted to in this industry. I can't think of anything.
Awesome. Okay, and I'm sure it's here in Canada. We call it a do-over. Do you if I say do-over, you understand what I mean by do-over? Okay, if you had one in life, in the industry, and whatever, we said snapped our fingers. Here's one do-over you could do. What would it be?
Trust in myself earlier in my years. It took me a long time. My 20s were tumultuous, and they didn't have to be. I was already there. I just didn't know it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Okay. Tomorrow, you couldn't have anything to do with the hair industry. Couldn't speak. Couldn't be a public speaker. What would you do?
Work with old people.
What would you do?
Talk to them. Just give them a hand, an ear, a heart.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it, how our culture in North America or other cultures in the world bestow great honor and respect on the elderly, but we tend to have a throwaway mentality of our elderly here.
Have you seen Derek on Netflix?
No, I have not.
Oh, this is for all of you. If you want to, everybody out there, if you want to do something cool, it's Ricky Gervais, but it's not the Ricky Gervais that you know.
Yeah.
Look up the show Derek, Derek, on Netflix. It's not easy, but it's life-changing.
Love it. I promise you I will do that. Okay, couple things. Firstly, if you had a wish for our industry and you could change it, what would that be?
My wish would be that every beauty school student knew that they were there for a reason, that beauty school can be an awakening, and that there is a place for every one of them out in our industry. That would be my wish.
Love it. One thing that all the people that were listening and watching right now, if you could get them to let go of something or stop doing something, what would that be?
Get out of your own way. Have faith and trust and confidence in yourself and get out of your own way. Become aware of your complete potential. Let you be all that you could be. Live the life you've dreamed of. Make things work. Make life matter. Don't make enemies. Just peace, love, and, love all and serve all. Make life work for you. It's way too short.
Yeah.
I mean, you're dying. Soon you're going to be dead. Yeah. Why not just let it all go and have a good time?
Yeah, we should say peace, love, and rock and rollers.
Yes, indeed.
Geno, I don't know what to say. I just feel like we said at the beginning that we've sort of passed each other in the dark. We've talked to each other. We know each other by profession. But I feel like I've got a kindred spirit that's on board and like-minded. And I just can't thank you enough for giving up your time that you have to be with our public and our head cases that we have on here.
Well, you are welcome.
And I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Chris. You're welcome, and it's my pleasure. And I feel the same way. I always have. Even when we passed each other in the halls, going from classroom to classroom, I thought, you know what? If we had time, we could have a good time together. We could be best friends. So not only is it a pleasure to be on here, but it's an honor, and I'd love to do it again. Let's do it again sometime soon.
Let's do it, because there's so much more that we could talk about. And I had a new good friend named James Alba out of your New Jersey area.
Yeah.
That I talked to the other day, and I loved his line, and I'm going to use it right here. And he said to me, whether you want it or not, we're going to be best friends. So I'm going to use that line and say, whether you want it or not, one day, buddy, we're going to be best friends, and we're going to have out dinner. And
I love it, Chris. And you know what? I have to tell you, I love James Alba. So he's the son. He's my son. I mean, he is just he's the future of our industry. No doubt about that. No doubt. Yeah. Wonderful guy. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
My friend, thank you so much, and I bow to you.
Thank you, Chris. The same to you, and thank you, everyone. God bless you. Be safe. Stay strong. Make life matter. Thank you.
Cheers.